Hello and welcome to our second live panel of Milan Fashion Week, and today we are discussing Prada, the show that everybody looks forward to in Milan, and hopefully today we're not going to get whiplash with the live stream. And today I have a fabulous panel. I have Colin McDowell, Imran from the Business of Fashion, Madelaine Levy and Joanne Furniss. So we are all taking our front row seats and waiting for everybody to stop milling around and sit down. But before we get going with the show, Colin, when you go to Milan, why does Prada resonate so much? Why is it such a standout show?
Well, to begin with, in my opinion, she's the really, really clever designer of the world. She's also got a quixotic approach to life. And I think that when I see her at her shows, I think, is she having a laugh, or is this for real? And I think she wants us to think this. She doesn't want us to know quite what it's all about. And that makes it very much more interesting than most shows where it's just clothes coming down, you think, yes, that'll sell, that won't sell, who the hell passed that one for the runway, or whatever.
Joanne, what do you look out for when you go to a Prada show? I mean, is she a hot ticket for you?
Yeah, especially because, I spent so many years going to Milan for the menswear, and men's shows are not the most exciting thing in the world a lot of the time. So a Prada show was really, really, really an event. Because that's, Milan is where the money is, and it's very serious in a certain way. But a Prada show kind of goes beyond all of that to something incredibly creative, and this big statement of intent. It's a statement of intent for the season, and it kind of filters through into so many areas, goes beyond fashion into something in pop culture, and
Imran, what do you think from a business point of view? Because Mrs. Prada's known as the thinker of fashion. What makes her business stand out?
Well, there's three things that come to mind when I think about going to a Prada show. Some of them are related to the business and some of them aren't. The first thing is oftentimes I watch a Prada show and I don't instantly understand what's happening, so it makes me think. And you called her the thinker, and I think even business people like to think. So it's interesting from that perspective. The second thing is I call it her seasonal signature.
Yeah.
There's always something she does which is a very, very strong visual statement. And it's always really interesting to see how she declines that very strong runway statement into commercial product. So, several seasons ago she did all of that stuff with the beautiful Swiss lace.
Yeah.
But if you went to see how that was translated into the store, it was translated on silk shift dresses, just prints of the lace. And so she always manages a way to take these very complex runway statements into a commercial piece. Yeah. And the third thing is I think she's one of the few designers in the world that every other designer looks to. Yeah. And so it's always interesting to see how her ideas are then kind of transposed or interpreted elsewhere. So I find her work fascinating.
Madelaine, what are you looking out for today with the Prada show? Are you a fan of furniture or?
Definitely. I think what's amazing is that very rare quality of having a signature, having an identity, but at the same time I have no idea what to expect today. Yeah. I am going to be surprised, I'm sure, and I'm really looking forward to being surprised.
That's what makes watching it live and talking about it live quite a strange experience, because usually, as Imran said, with a Prada show, you need a little bit of time to absorb and process. How do you think this process of reviewing shows live as it happens works, Colin?
Before I answer that, can I just say, to add what Imran said, I think I see her as sort of fashion spoke.
Something looked like a drawing contest.
She gives the holy bread to the rest of the designers. She throws out ideas and she knows they're easy to copy. She keeps it simple, but the thinking behind is complex. But we will see today what we will see on other quite grand runways in the next 2 years. We know this. It happens nearly every time. Unless she's having fun with fur or something like that, which she loves doing that sort of thing. She knows what the world feels about fur. So when she uses it, my God, she uses it. She piles it on everywhere. But I think that to go back to the question of did you say what are people thinking at this moment? Well, no one has any idea what is coming. That's the lovely thing about her.
Can I just say something though as well? This sort of tag that she's got as the intellectual fashion designer, she actually doesn't like that tag. I've interviewed her before and she said it's almost like you're being marginalised and you're being done down in some way.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to her than that. I mean, as a person, she's fun.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of the process of Prada, I think, is really, really instinctive.
Yeah.
And somehow it gets translated into this big business. But it's really, she's kind of got like this teenage spirit in a way of like, I like this, I'm doing this, that's it.
Yeah.
And there's something great about her in that way. It's just felt in the gut.
Yeah.
These things that she does. There's no, I think sometimes people on the outside think fashion has focus groups and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, well, they put pretentious labels on people to make it easier to group
Yeah,
things.
they put them in a box,
Yeah.
And she's
Should we
not
say-
the intellectual fashion designer in that way.
Yeah.
She's something else. It's
Well, I
kind
quite
of-
liked what she said last season backstage at her show. She said, everyone has a theory about their collections these days. I'm sick of theory. This is about the pleasure of fashion.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to look at it. I think people sort of all draw sort of strange parallels and significant reasons why they put a blue button next to a pink shirt, and I think actually here it is about good clothes with good proportion, shape and cut. Would you agree?
Well,
Yeah, it's been said that it's fashion for the brain, but it is actually fashion for the body as
Yeah.
well, even though it doesn't reveal your body as other designers might do.
Yeah.
It can be very, very flattering and very
Yeah.
pleasant to wear. Definitely. Even though I would say it almost takes intellectualizing to come back to the pleasure of fashion. So many people have forgotten it, that everybody's been basically going in the same direction talking about other things, that it always takes a certain braininess to say, everybody's doing this, let me go
against the
let's go
curve.
against it. And saying things like, let's take it back to pleasure is
Yeah.
actually a very clever thing.
Yeah. But although the thing is with, it doesn't look like it's that full up yet, does it?
No.
People just don't seem to be able to arrive on time anywhere.
Well, the previous show might
No, it's
be
the
late.
show's running late. I don't arrive on time.
In Milan, the shows tend to run like
Fairly
30
close to
minutes
it,
late,
yeah.
no?
Mine
30
was a
minutes
little
after
bit
the-
late today. Oh look, there's still people going backstage.
I
to
find
do
it
the
always
re-
quite interesting actually to look at the set at the Prada show, because it's your first hint
Yeah, it's sort
at
of.
what's
What
to
might
come.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's sort of like writing solving a detective mystery,
Yeah.
isn't it, with Prada? You get the clues through the music, which we're not going to see. You get the clues through the press release, which we're not going to see, and then the set and the girls, the hair
The
and the makeup.
invitation
Yeah.
often says something, which we don't have the invitation either.
Well, no,
All
the
we have is this
invitation
very
is just a
dark
plain
room.
white card with black writing on it, just her font writing. So there's not a lot of clues going on
The
there.
one thing that makes this a quite unusual show as well, because sometimes, you can kind of feel a season,
Yeah.
right? Especially doing magazines, sometimes we sort of predict things.
Yeah.
But with this one, because the menswear involved women's wear as well, and it
Oh,
involved the
yes,
women's
of course.
pre-collection, and that was almost this kind of going back to the basics of Prada, and almost like this sort of year zero thing. But it was almost kind of looking at the past of Prada, that kind of Prada sporty kind of thing, in a relentlessly sort of avant-bland way, in a way. It was such a sort of statement of intent in a kind of straightforward and like, this is it
Yeah.
sort of way, that I'm actually a bit like, well, what is she going to do next? Is she going to expand on that thing, or is she
Yeah.
actually just going to go, right, something totally different,
Totally
this is the
against the
start of a new
curve,
phase.
yeah.
So this is a really interesting show, I think.
I mean, of the shows in Milan, which are the shows that stand out for you? I mean, this is a real pivot one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you always look forward to this one. Dolce, because I
Yeah.
love Dolce. I just, and
Yeah.
especially like after the last ones, which,
That one was the men's one.
incredible.
It was amazing.
Incredible. And the special collection that they did, the more
Yeah.
mature collection when, Sicily.
I was very unhappy with that.
Oh, were you?
Oh, I thought it was hideous.
Did you go, Colin?
Provincial, no, but I've seen the pictures. There's a supplement in Italian Vogue this month. It's so provincial. So. And unlike, if she does something which appears provincial, she knows it's provincial.
Uh-huh.
They didn't, in my opinion.
But they did go to Taormina, which is one of my favourite places. Which,
Everyone's favourite place, I
Yeah.
agree.
No, not my parents' favourite place.
Oh.
They got mugged there.
oh,
But
today.
To your question about shows in Milan,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but this season in New York and London, I heard a lot of people were skipping Milan this
Yeah, a
season.
lot are jumping
And it seems to me like this is the single remaining important show in Milan. That the reason people go is for this show. But and I enjoyed Dolce.
People are skipping Milan. How can they skip Milan?
Oh, the only people who aren't skipping
No,
Milan
they really are.
the
Although
editors of big magazines who have advertisers in
Yeah,
Milan.
because
But a lot of people who do have the choice of going or not going, this season they seem not to be going.
I mean,
Yeah,
it is
I
of course
don't know.
the season of Paris with, the big kind of standoff between.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I was going to say, I
and
think it's a sort of form of revenge because Milan has been very, very difficult about the scheduling.
yeah.
And I talked to an American businesswoman last night, and she said, "No, well, it's just not bothering. The ones we want to see will come to New York for us." She thought this was important. She thought that Dolce & Gabbana was important, and for her particular situation, she felt that Armani was important.
Armani's important.
But
I would
Well, you
say
know
Jill
what?
Sander, I'm still,
Yeah.
it's like what's...
I would agree entirely.
I
She
mean-
wasn't that sort of retailer.
I'd say that Versace is important, especially now because she's got this kind of confidence in what she's
Yes.
doing again. The Versus show is important. These are the things that I would look forward to in Milan. And then, of course, Armani is.
But do
Armani
you
is a
think-
master.
Yeah.
It's really this is sort of...
But do you think that having things live stream has taken out the need to go to the cities? Do you think that now everything is live streamed, everybody can just sit back and, I remember when I started going to the shows, if you didn't get to the show, you missed it and that was a catastrophe. But now you can sit in your slippers and watch Prada.
I think...
Well, I think there's no substitute for seeing the actual clothes coming down the runway, and in reality, we're having a second-hand sort of version, but it's still a very good version, but it's just not the same. Also, I think you would agree with this, Jan. The thing is, the buzz you hear when you're there, the talk you hear, and seeing how, say, someone like Mucha comes out at the end, she nearly always does it the same, and then hearing her remarks, which I'm not always sure she's very serious about.
Yeah.
I think she has a contempt for the sort of journalist who rushes in and says, "What was your inspiration?" And she's thinking, for God's sake, if you don't get it, why should I tell you? So she makes up something silly like, I was watching children playing in the park, or whatever it happens to be. But I think that I love Milan, always have loved Milan, and I agree with exactly what Jan said. I think that Versace I adore because there's somehow an innocence in what
Oh God,
she does.
she's amazing.
It's lovely, it's pretty, and it's very strong. And she is such an icon now.
Yeah, she's
you
wonderful.
know?
Yeah.
She's wonderful. She really is like a great person and a great, this history of that house is really
terrible
something
things.
special.
Yes, exactly.
But talking of the history of the houses, I think Milan is now in a bit of a unique situation. Well, it's been sort of rumbling for a while, Mr. Armani, Prada. There is a question of the line of succession. We saw the sort of kerfuffle that happened in Paris when there wasn't a line of succession. How do you think an Armani, or because Mrs. Prada is so the face of the brand and so the sort of the driving force behind it, what do you think about how these businesses can sort of...
Oh, I think businesses, huge businesses, he's the guy who should answer.
No.
I think huge businesses
I
can
do.
go on. Yves Saint Laurent was totally Yves Saint Laurent, but it isn't anymore, and it's going to be very good and successful, I'm sure, with Eddie Slimane.
Yeah. What would you say?
I think clearly the businesses can continue, especially where you have brands with a very clear signature and with a large presence and a lot of brand recognition. The challenge is I think a lot of the Italian fashion businesses are run as family businesses. And what we've seen with Prada and with Versace in recent years is there's been a transition. And there's been a transition from operating them as kind of family-run operations to professionalizing them. In order to list Prada on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, they needed to meet a whole bunch of requirements and reporting requirements, and succession planning is one of the most important things for any business, both for the business leadership and in the case of fashion, the creative leadership. And I don't think that we've seen a lot of thinking on the parts of some of these brands, what were to happen if one of these designers were, God forbid, hit by a bus, and what would happen. And we saw the situation
at Dior, when John Galliano had to step down all of a sudden, you know, there wasn't a clear succession plan in place, clearly, and it took some time to find what I think everyone agrees is a great choice. But you know, this kind of succession planning or lack of it can be quite disruptive to a business when unfortunate and unexpected things happen.
I don't actually think, although it's an interesting concept, that any designer in Milan would ever be on a street where a bus was.
I know, that's what I thought,
Buses and
Okay, maybe there's a car.
A
I'm not going to go through all the possible ways that someone could die.
I thought it was a very good analogy. You've seen how they drive in Italy.
Well, that's true also. That's
You know.
true.
No, but
They're
you
filling up
just
now.
wouldn't expect them near a bush. You'd be like, no, how common?
No.
But it's it is quite sort of strange though, because one of the reasons that I like Italian fashion so much is how it operates commercially.
Yeah.
And it's like a different kind of capitalism.
Yeah.
And it is, you know, like when you try to explain to people about Armani, you go, Armani,
he's
it's like
got-
owning Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
It is just beyond where these
in
people
Italy,
control everything.
his billboards and his presence is extraordinary to see
And the
around.
business is
Massive.
massive. But apparently, and I don't have first-hand knowledge of this, apparently he's involved in every aspect of the business, and it is involved with decision-making at every level of the company.
Yeah.
So the question is if you create a business that's so dependent on one individual, what happens when that individual is no longer able to perform his or her duties?
Prada is like that with Lucia Prada and Patrizio Bertelli.
Yeah.
They make all those decisions, like to the minutest aspect, like backstage after the show, the food. The food is all chosen by Lucia Prada. They have food testings that go on for weeks. I mean, she's even concerned about the temperature of drinks. I remember having doing this interview with her, and she said that she ran front of house to sort of check about the drinks temperature at a Miu Miu show once, and everyone thought, are you mad?
Look
But
at all,
that's
they're
why
just all
these-
chit-chatting.
Yeah, I mean,
one's doing
could we
anything.
just like...
Come on, we've
Sit
been there.
down.
We know this is how it happens.
No, but I mean, you have to have a conversation with somebody that you've seen an hour ago as if you're surprised to see them again.
Hello, how are you? It's been so long since I saw you at Dolce Gabbana.
20 minutes ago, exactly. But no, I think that what we're talking about, this is the unkind expression. We're talking about control freakery.
Yeah.
You know, this question of
Oh, yeah.
choosing the temperature of the wine and everything. And I think this shows a deep insecurity. The Italians, I think, have always been insecure. They're insecure as a nation because they always, at the back of their mind, they think of the terrible things that happened in 2 wars. They were so hopeless and cowardly and all the rest of it, you know, running away,
French were worse.
swapping sides and everything. I believe there is a deep inferiority complex in Italy, and I lived there for years. I think one of the problems for creators is that they want to be seen in a shaft of light coming directly from Leonardo right down, but they're not.
What an
They're not.
enunciation
And they
kind
don't,
of picture.
You know? Yes,
But
exactly.
one thing that Italy does have is they have the most immaculate production. They have craftsmen, the leathers, the skills.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're very
fashion
good.
flows in the blood of
Yeah.
the people of Italy. It's
Totally.
part of the culture,
Yeah.
and you know, there's a level of importance accorded to fashion in, I'd say, Italy and France that you won't find in any of the
No
other.
less in France.
No.
Much less in
Lots
France.
of fashion on their credit cards that they then can't pay the debt on.
Oh, don't be bad about Italy.
No,
I love
I-
Italy. I love it.
No,
I love
love
Italian
Italy, of
fashion.
course I do.
But you
No,
know,
me too.
I do think as well, though, there is this sort of, I mean, for me, the idea of the kind of OCD-ness of Prada, that's the incredible part of it.
Yeah.
The,
No, I
the
love
attention
the
to
absolute
detail.
attention to every
Yeah.
single
Yes.
thing. The way you said she takes, you know, even goes down to the drink temperature. I think that shows through on her designs because every single detail and size of print or this is a considered proportion. If you
Oh, it
look at
looks like
some,
it's about to start.
do you
It
think
looks as if something's going to happen, yeah.
that's
So
where
what do
you're
you
being
make of all the
optimistic?
shadows?
Very dramatic.
Shadows and black and white
Yes.
pillars.
I hope we can hear this music because I think
The
that's
music is
important.
important.
Yeah, the music
I
is.
think
Well, it's a bit like you have 5 senses and you've got rid of one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's you know.
I mean, people don't, I suppose, I mean, people sometimes don't realise how how important music is for shows and how it's stressed over.
Well, you have to have every single element considered, because you have such a short amount of time to sort of dip you in the goldfish bowl of the designer of the season and immerse them in every single part of the experience. You know, as much as the proportion it is, or the surrounding part of the story.
To be sort of immersed emotionally. And I think that's really important in Italy, actually. That was the one thing that, dealing with Italian fashion, it's an emotional kind of exchange.
Well, they're very proud.
Yeah.
I think they're still.
They're
I
still-
think
They're
Colin
still
was.
waiting for a lot of more
I mean, that's,
people.
you know, when Colin was saying before about there's no...
Shall I have a click and see what's happening backstage?
Oh, can we do that?
Well,
Oh, wow.
we've got a few pictures coming in of people tweeting what's going on backstage.
I love Camilla is like the new techno wizard.
She's fabulous, I must say.
Fashion Lala. Everyone follow Fashion Lala.
There we go. Oh, look, see, here's the food. Oh, that looks nice. Although it isn't as great as this banana cake.
This banana cake is
It's just
excellent,
fabulous.
by the way.
Gorgeous.
There's Anna Della Russo looking low-key.
Do you want some of my cake for your album?
I think that might be a bit of
You
a red
sure?
herring there. I don't think these are...
This isn't telling us
Oh,
very
look,
much, is it?
here,
Those,
bright red lips, but we're not really getting very many clues at the moment. No, that's a glimpse of the hair and the makeup.
That looks sweet, like the spring summer.
Yeah, the sweetness of the...
But the set looks quite black and white.
it
Yeah.
looks very
Well,
sombre.
it
It may be
looks-
going to be washed with colour when the lights go up.
But
Well,
it
I
looks
mean-
very similar to the last set of
It
the,
does.
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the menswear.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether I'm sending you up a red herring, but maybe that art is a clue to something that's going on. Who knows?
I mean, the men's thing was very sort of stark. Well, of course it involved the women's pre-collection anyway, but it looks very, very similar.
Someone on Twitter is calling the set Twilight Zone.
Oh,
Well, maybe. Yeah. Should we go back and see what they're doing? Oh, they're still milling around. Don't seem to get anywhere in a hurry, do they? I like the strong shadows and the geometric black and white. I think that is a really
I
nice...
wonder how much the audience are getting of that though when they come in at that
Well, no,
level.
because you only have your blinkered little your view of a head.
Is the wallpaper on the website also indicative
I think
of
so,
the
but I'm
set?
far too scared to click on that and make it go away, because we could lose the whole screen
Alright.
and that could be a disaster.
It looks like it's the same
It looks
thing,
like
right? The
it's
same set.
referencing the same thing. You know, the black and white.
I must admit, I'd be quite excited to see a continuation of the pre-collection,
Yeah.
the minimalism and the, well, maybe not the sportiness so much as that kind of just taking things down to...
Well, the
something very
resorts
cool.
are the sort of like the lion's share of the sales, where commercially the resorts are the ones that sell. But I think with Mrs. Prada, I think Prada shows are such a commercial success. She doesn't need to sort of worry about that. But then again, yesterday at the Gucci, I thought the resort show was going to be a nice little clue into what was about to happen at the Gucci show, and it couldn't have been less helpful. So, who knows? Oh, it's Grazia Barbie, so that was a false alert.
Colin and Camilla, I want to take a photo of you to Instagram. This might be like this is like a meta moment. There we go. So now I can.
Did you get the screen in there as well?
I think I did.
Oh, good, you got the whole
I got
experience.
the whole
Oh my
thing.
God.
No, you look great.
Colin,
Sure,
protect us.
Sure.
I mean, we can always pause if you want till the show actually starts, or should we just...
It looks like it's going to start.
I think it's
imminently.
going to start in a minute. I think by the time we faff around and get off and come on again.
But if we lost it, it would be a disaster. We couldn't get it back.
No, exactly. Now, from when she started when she launched the ready-to-wear in '89, have there been standout collections that you think have been very important to?
Well, I actually think that virtually all of her collections stand out. She always says something which is interesting. She also always, as I said earlier, gives something to the lesser fry.
Yeah.
You know, to take it on.
Well, she always has the cult accessory or the cult
Yeah.
piece or statement.
Yes. I don't know how many assistants she works with. Do you? Jan?
Well, she has
She
she
must have
has
a big
the-
team, I would think.
she has a head designer that works under her, who is really important as well. What I think that thing of sometimes you get fashion houses where it's kind of this is really distinctly led by her. It really, really is. It's led by her instinct and how she feels.
Yeah.
And so, but there are brilliant people that work with her. There are.
Yeah.
And it's kind of,
She's
it's not
a
massive. I think it's much more of a streamlined
Right.
operation than you think though.
She's a super intelligent woman, and she will know that no matter how hard she tries, she isn't really going to think like the young anymore, because you don't as you get older. But I think that she probably relies enormously on the stylist, someone like Katie Grant, who goes in quite early on, I suspect, and gives ideas and thoughts.
Do you know what?
No?
I don't think it is
No?
like that.
I think she really is the leader. I
Well-
think she has such a strong vision of
She
what she wants to do.
absolutely- She absolutely
Yeah, well-
does. You know what? I mean, Katie worked with her a while ago, but it's actually
Yeah,
Olivier
it's true.
Risso who works with her now.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's forever inspired by her. He thinks
Yeah.
that she's just incredible. It's led by her. It really is.
I think she has such a strong vision of what she wants to do and what she wants to say with her brand, that I think that probably is, I think that's probably key to the success of it. I mean, if you look at some of the London designers, and I know you wrote an ever so popular column about it, Colin, but if you look at some of the
Which is
London...
in fact amazingly popular. You'd be some amazing
No, I
number
know,
of people
I
who said, thank
know.
God someone said it.
No, I know, but I do
It's
think...
lovely and hot.
Well, it's being
There's a
close
little
to you.
romance happening here at Show
We'll
Studio.
talk about this.
No, but what I found with London is that each season there's pressure to totally reinvent themselves, whereas Mrs. Prada stays true to who
No
she
designer,
is.
no real designer ever totally reinvents himself, in my opinion. And that's the problem with London, so I think they're under the pressure from journalists who know nothing, of course. I've been one of fashion journalists for many years, and I know they know very much. But as we're filling time up, if we looked at the if we looked at the pantheon of the greats who are working now, where would we put her compared with, say, Karl Lagerfeld
Or Saint Laurent.
or well, all right, we include him as he hasn't died that long ago. Where is she? When the history
right up there.
is she one of the real tops?
Yeah, I think
I think
so.
3 or 4.
I think so.
Yeah, but she's the Dadaist in it all.
Yeah.
What?
The Dadaist in it all. She's the one who's simultaneously a great and fun.
Yes, true.
She doesn't have that seriousness of a pantheon.
You mean she doesn't take herself so seriously?
No, exactly. No.
No,
I would
I'm not
definitely put
suggesting
her
she
up
does.
there in terms of importance. But
Lights.
Here we go.
Music.
This is when
I'm
I'm going
gonna
to start
go
sort
big.
of
Yes.
threatening you,
Music,
like
music,
sit down,
music.
sit down.
Stop messing around.
Yeah.
Uncross your
Your
legs,
music.
Yeah.
please.
That's it.
Okay, I'll put the
Late
music up. I don't
covers,
think
no.
we have any.
I hope we have music. It's probably Frederick Sanchez who's
Maybe
going to
they
do the
just-
music.
I think
This-
they might have just
'cause it's
put the lights
usually
up
him.
To make everybody get
Oh,
really
to
hard.
hurry up.
Yeah.
You could be right.
Yeah,
It
I
does
think
mean
they were
it's
just
imminent.
getting irritated.
With everyone going, ah.
So how come you're not in Milan this time around?
Do you know what? I was actually meant to go yesterday. My friend Katie Grant, who's actually got a shoe thing with Hogan, which I'm
Yeah.
plugging online. But then I was so exhausted and so sort of just trying to finish off things after doing the London reviews for Style.com, and I'm going to Paris early.
Right,
So, I mean, I would have loved to have gone to Milan in a certain way, but Tim and Nicole
Yeah.
will cover it for Style.com anyway,
Yeah.
so it's sort of, no, I don't always go. I mean, after you've been to Milan a long time, you sometimes think, I never want to go back there. And then you go, oh, I really miss it. And it's like
Really?
Stockholm syndrome.
Oh, really?
It's bizarre.
I never really went to Milan because I was always in Paris. I
Yeah.
always went to Paris before and stayed. I've only done a few seasons in Milan, and I found when I went to the menswear that it's a nicer pace of the menswear. It's sort of
different
calmer,
pace, yeah.
different pace.
It's not
less-
anymore.
Really?
It's really sort of jam-packed into very few
Really?
days. Yeah.
Oh, really?
And
It's like 5
it's
days
just
and the
like-
schedule is madness.
Yes.
And also it's Midgie season, isn't it, when you go?
oh, it's like
Which season?
Midgie.
season.
Mosquito-
Little creatures,
those
flying
mosquitoes.
creatures that bite you.
eat you
Midgie.
alive. They really do.
Yes,
Oh,
like
I got that.
mosquitoes.
Oh, I never heard the word midget. It sounds more like midget to me.
No.
Midges are different.
here we
That's
go.
not Scottish.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay.
There you go.
Right.
Short.
Where's the
Yeah,
music?
legs.
Yeah, can we get any music or do I need to
Print.
sing?
Can we have the music?
Do you know how to... Neil? It's not my fault.
So it looks like to be black and white again, which, I mean, not again for them, but just, well, black and white.
Oh,
I like the
like
little
cowboy
dog
shoes.
dog socks.
Oh my God, are they a sort of a version of a rocking horse boot? Yes, they are.
Yeah.
That's quite good. Those shoes are really good.
The shoes are always good.
Yeah, but they did a version of a rocking horse boot. Let's not forget Vivienne Westwood.
Yes. Just to keep our nerves on edge.
They're almost Bowie Space Odyssey. These are geisha shoes, aren't they?
Does anyone know what music this is?
Well, it's French, so
Yeah.
But if you're
I think
having like
it's
kind of French
60s,
pop, you
70s,
start.
I think.
I think it's contemporary, but you start
you?
to think about the 60s and
Yeah.
70s with it. You know, that French pop thing. And that's
Those
slightly,
shoes are
you know,
awesome.
the shoes are a bit Westwood, a bit Japanese, kind of
Geisha girl.
geisha. That flower design, I mean, that's very sort of like, it's very her, but so was that kind of late 60s, early 70s thing anyway, that way.
What are your initial thoughts, Colin? Or are you
I'm just
still...
thinking, no, after London Fashion Week, I'm just thinking how marvellously cut it is
Yeah.
and how
And how
beautiful it is.
completely removed of color.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah, but that could
Let's
change
see
as we
what
go
happens,
along.
yeah.
But they are lovely, lovely looking clothes.
I think after last season, I mean, it's very Japanese.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
idea of stripping everything back
Yeah.
after that whole kind of costume drama thing, you couldn't do anything else. It was just how they were going to do it after the men's and the pre-collection.
Yeah.
At the same
So-
time, there is that flower there that everybody will instantly recognize.
That's
as
the seasonal signature,
yeah.
you
That's
know?
it.
The Prada flower of
Yeah,
the season.
exactly.
And also those socks, of course, very Japanese, but it's also a bit of a nod to Margiela in a way as well, like the obsession with that tabby kind of
Yeah.
boot thing. And
I thought it was a bit Bowie Space Odyssey when I first
Yeah.
saw it. Where we've got a lot of shots of the feet, haven't we? The set looks fab now, the lights have come up.
there's definitely, it's that sort of Japanese kind of graphic thing as well with the flowers.
Sort of feels weird to talk about it because usually you'd be shushed if you were sort of like...
Unless you have a particularly chatty neighbor
So do you,
who's
is
whispering.
she
Sometimes
going through
Susie
the whole thing
Menkes
in
will
black?
whisper
Yes,
things into
Yeah.
your
it's
ear.
true, it's true.
And you wouldn't dare
Yeah.
not reply.
Yes.
Oh, indeed.
Oh, is that green or black?
It's
Yeah, there
green.
was,
It's green,
there was a bottle
lovely
of
bottle green.
One
Yeah.
bottle green, okay.
But still, the palette's quite restrained.
Yeah,
Very
incredibly
really,
restrained,
really
yes.
confidently restrained.
I do think though that I mean I did think that a kind of a version of minimalism would come through. But I hate that word minimalism in fashion anyway because I think it's stupid.
Well, to quote Uncle Colin, it's what he longed for in London was control, and I think this has
This is
control.
control.
Yeah, totally agree. I think that there's an idea of stripping
Yeah.
back, and I think at that glut of like last season, you needed to do something like that. That dress is fantastic. Actually.
That's an amazing
I mean, that
dress.
is a fabulous dress.
Yeah.
That
And it's a
would be the
brilliant
key.
dress to put in at this point because it cools it down, you know, after all the black and white.
And then she's softly starting to shoot
Oh,
in
yeah.
colour in the
What woman
accessories.
wouldn't
That's
want to wear
gorgeous.
that? I love the combination of navy and black.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
a terrific
So-
combination.
Do you notice the flower has now appeared on the sunglasses as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah,
She's just nodding that note.
yeah.
sort of softly reminds me of a Mary Quant flower motif in parts. You know
not
her
me, no.
daisy part.
But I also really like the fact that almost all the dresses have that almost 90s quality of, it's independently of which body you put in there, it will be the same dress. It's
Yeah.
structured in that way.
And it's a much softer pattern. I hate them going up and down the stairs. It's giving me
Don't worry.
They're experts.
Yeah.
well, they're not,
The
are they?
no, the likelihood of one falling is very,
Very
remote,
high.
I would think. No, I'm very remote, I would say.
Look at that. Oh, it's frozen. Oh, so that's fur.
Yeah,
I
Colin
like a
was
few
right.
fur pieces.
Yeah.
Looks like
And they
rabbit.
were in resort as well.
Yeah, there was
Sporty.
quite a lot of fur.
And what do you think of this as a spring-summer collection?
It's quite surprising, right? But you know, earlier we were just saying, when everyone else is like zigging,
Yeah.
she's zagging.
Well, I do think, you
That's
know,
brilliant. That's so brilliant.
I do think that there is something that her and Marc Jacobs share, and that they kind of bounce off each other.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, if you want to take the two designers that really say something about now, it's her and Marc Jacobs. And I think they have a mutual respect for each other.
Oh,
I mean, especially like Marc wears her stuff.
Yeah.
He wears a lot of the women's wear as well. And it's the way that their kind of influence extends beyond fashion that's important. I mean,
Well, I think also when you're watching the shows, when you're watching them as a, you know, en
Here we go,
masse,
look at this.
it's
Like
those
it's
two.
beautiful.
That is brilliant, isn't it? Go up.
You know, I'm quite enjoying being able to talk about it while it happened.
Yes, actually, and it looks great. You know, we're getting a really good picture.
Well, we got a
Of
good
it all.
seat, didn't we?
We did, we got the best seat, it's true. And champagne as well.
I'm the only person who drank it.
It's like, she makes it, it works like a puzzle. She keeps bringing new things in and adding more
But I suppose as well, if you're going to do,
manifestations of the idea.
if you're going to do something which is a nod to the Japanese, you're going to think about. Oh right, thank you. God, that wasn't even a hint.
Do you know what?
Um,
I've just realised that set is a very modernist version of a Japanese tea house.
Actually, you could be right, yes.
They're walking around a tea house, aren't they?
Could be.
I mean, she'd probably
But
quite like that motif of the
Yeah.
geisha girl as well, and
Yeah.
sort of. You know,
I mean, it's
Is it a
not
brown
such a literal sort of
Yeah.
translation that you can sort of see Madame Butterfly floating out, but at the same time, I think that it's a good motif.
but you do think about
Golly, my
that
eyes.
kind of the
It's too
inspiration of the Japanese designers come to Paris
Yeah.
and Carmen and Yoji, and you know, you think about all of those things that.
I think, even though it's gone a bit fuzzy, that that's fair.
Yeah, that was. And I suppose it's that thing of the kind of French-Japanese thing, that Japanisme kind of, you know, there's something in that. But it was about, I think after the last one, the men's and the women's pre-collection, that you kind of go, well, how do you start again from that? And maybe this is her starting again.
Look at the way that's been wrapped on. That's brilliant, like an obi.
Yeah, kind of kimono, weird fur thing.
And even a fur bag.
Yeah.
Fabulous. I
I
can
love
see
fur
her and
bags.
Manuela in those.
That's Anna Della Russo's next.
You bet.
Tidbit.
Absolutely.
But I do think that's important, that relationship that she has with those other women, like
Yeah.
Manuela Pavese,
Yeah.
Oh yes.
who's the most stylish
Stylish
woman
woman
in the
in the
world.
world.
Right.
She
Yeah.
really is. You just go, oh my God.
But she surrounds herself with very inspiring women and people, doesn't
Yeah.
she? She has...
Yeah.
As all good designers
Should. Yeah, no, totally.
Oh, there's Guinevere.
Now, we're not being silent because we're lost for words. It's almost reverent to the Prada.
We're just
Sometimes
gripped.
just-
You know, it's so
Yeah.
interesting to
Yeah.
You just need to
take in.
absorb and take it all in.
I mean, they are really focusing on the shoes, but I do love those shoes. It is this sort of,
I never thought about the decision that some person has in the live stream about which camera to be. But it's true. I mean, as a consumer proposition, you know, those of us are watching it from the industry here, but as
But she's-
consumers are watching as well, and they keep focusing on the shoes. And clearly-
Yeah, she's making a very strong subliminal message because usually when you film shows for, I don't know, for a fashion purpose, you film from the top to the bottom. You go head to toe. You always film up to down. You film down last, and the way she's going down up, it's odd, you know, for a proportion thing of a body, because you usually shoot top to bottom, so it must be a commercial thing.
Well, for many years she had screens all along the sides of the wall, and they were showing bags and shoes all the time that we were watching.
Oh, I
clothes.
always arrived so late that it was a sort of hurtle and a sprint that
Really?
I was too
Oh, no,
breathless
she
to notice that.
always focused on the shoes and the bags.
I wonder,
The
like
photographs.
the other things we were talking about, how she's so involved in every decision, and
Yeah.
whether that's been in kind of
Yeah.
the...
Oh God, no! I'm sure she has. I'm sure she was very involved in the shooting of this. I mean, most designers are like they'll get the rushes and they'll sit in on the
That's
edit.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's
gorgeous.
great.
Yeah.
That's almost Dior Balenciaga in the 50s,
Yeah.
but
But
totally
look at the
modern.
back there.
Yeah.
So that
Back's
has got
really
like a
nice.
node back.
Yeah.
That fantastic structure in the front.
But I do think as well sometimes shoes are the most important bit. I mean, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I talked to that designer Melanie Ward recently, that stylist and designer Melanie Ward, and she said a lot of her styling work started from the shoes,
Yeah.
and that's how she defined a character. And when you're building the idea of a person
Yeah.
for a shoot or for a collection, sometimes it's the shoes that matter.
And of course, shoes can fit anybody, regardless of body
Yeah.
shape, right? So as
Well,
a
it's
commercial
handbags.
product,
As a commercial point of view, handbags are non-shapist, so or sized or whatever it is.
Actors in the theatre always want to know the shoes they're wearing, and if the shoes don't fit with what they feel the character is, they have to change them. And they say, suddenly there's a moment when they say, I know who this character is.
I never knew that, and that's brilliant.
It's true.
I
It's
really judge
it's
things by
absolute-
shoes.
It's absolutely true.
I know
There
it
you
might
are.
seem shallow,
Yeah.
but I really do.
No, it's the key.
That's
Because it
amazing.
depends-
I didn't
it's
know
how you
actors
walk
did that,
and how
yeah.
you stand, which, you know.
so
Well,
now we get to
that's-
see it all together.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get the final walkthrough.
Oh, I wish. I mean, it's fine watching it on a TV with booze, but it is different when you're
No,
there.
it's
Oh,
totally
The
different.
totally.
feeling of
Being
like,
there, the sort of like
Totally,
the adrenaline
yeah.
you get,
Yeah.
especially with a Prada when you.
But it's a very good substitute, I think.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen them very closely and clearly.
Oh, Susie's already gone.
Was that Susie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's the Far East edition or something. Crying.
Everybody's clapping, so it obviously was well received.
well, yeah, they've been in Milan for 2 days.
It's like a
watching absolute
marvellous drink
horrors.
of water after all sorts of different
After all the
mixture of
horrors.
drinks.
Yeah.
After London with all that terrible, terrible stuff. This
Oh no! London
cleanses
was
the
good.
palate.
There was some terrible stuff, but there was a huge proportion of London that was great.
There was some London, which was very great.
But let's not let London
No,
overshadow
no.
Prada here.
Whereas if
I
it
mean,
could.
look at how fantastic
I mean, look
that
how many
is.
looks there are.
I
And it
must say
all
that
fits
black-
together.
It's what I love is the coherence.
Yes.
One girl per look, just how a show should be.
I mean, that sort of graphic kind of black and white thing was something that, you know, had come through in Marc Jacobs' show,
Yeah.
had come through in shows in London. And it's almost that sort of people delineated as a kind of an illustration.
Yeah.
And especially with Japanese graphics, it sort of makes total
It looks
sense.
fabulous on
Yeah, the
that stuff.
black and white part is really magnificent.
You can already imagine what the ad campaign might be like,
Yeah.
and what the fashion film is going to be like.
Yeah.
And that's what I find so genius about this, is how she takes this runway message and then it just spreads everywhere. It's in the windows. It's, you know, it's so consistent.
Yeah, even Miu Miu, I mean the younger version of this, or as you said, the commercial application,
Yeah.
you can really kind of see how
Yeah.
it will derive.
The weird thing about Miu Miu though, it's not necessarily younger. It's kind of different and
Yeah.
equal. And actually
What's
their
it?
client base is older. It's
Really?
bizarre, I know.
Wow.
But it's really, you know, like, and especially I think some seasons, you know, you have this kind of, they are quite an equal thing, where you sometimes have more of a concentration on Prada and then you have more of a concentration on Miu Miu.
Well, they made quite a deliberate decision a few years ago to put Miu Miu on the same level, and they upped the price points. They moved the show to Paris.
Here she comes.
Oh, she's at.
Now you look at what she's wearing, and that's the key to a lot of things, where you just go, hang on, what's this about?
Yeah.
I love that little bow she gives.
Now I've got all the images in from Milan Fashion. Do you want to have a quick look at the photos to
Let's
see?
do that.
To see it. Oh my goodness me! What have I done there?
I quite like that pink stripy thing.
I've
Look at the Twitter feed, it's going crazy.
It's
like-
so quick you can't read it.
Okay, let me zip back right to the very beginning. Oh no, I was told I should drag. Okay, let's start. Oh, jeepers.
Oh no, not that.
You-
Oh, that's
I
nice.
need
No,
to
you can
log-
click on the arrow, Camilla.
Oh yeah, let's just click on the arrow. Okay, let's stay small. So as an opening look, what do you think she's trying to say with this?
I think she's just setting the. I mean, the first look's so important because it's setting the message.
Concentrate.
That's like the
Concentrates your
focused
mind.
message, right?
Yeah.
But I think they never try and be too obvious in the first look at
No.
Prada.
No.
They don't give the game away fully. It's
That's
always a bit
true.
like,
Because you don't realise the geisha thing straight away, do you?
No.
But then again, at most Prada shows, you do sit there and panic for at least the first 5 looks. Here
I often it's the first looks that I really like though, because they're the ones that are a
they're
bit
the punchy
more
ones.
insidious in a way. You get the sort of really like woo ones later on.
Look at the, oh Lord, look at the cut and the line and the drip. It's so clean. Tell me if you want me to go faster. This is sort of the speed I would do it.
I mean that's where it becomes really sort of
You
very
see, that's a
ultra
really-
Japanese
Yeah.
as well, those graphics.
Yeah, I mean there it goes almost a bit more street wearing with those half-length trousers in, I guess, a Japanese way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are kind of referring to the 90s in a lot of their collections.
Right.
But this, like she did that in the pre-collection thing and the menswear, it's sort of gone beyond that to try and define sort of what's now. But I do think you do have that idea of sort of looking back. If you're a certain age, that whole thing of the Japanese designers showing in Paris and how that affected everybody. Somebody like Westwood doing a rocking horse boot, things
Yeah.
like that, it all kind of registers. Margiela doing the tabby boots, it's all sort of there in a way without it being plagiarism. It's like, well,
Right, let's
Just
go
that
a
More
bit
love
bigger.
of fashion.
telling a story of that.
So
Yeah.
Imran, what's the reaction,
Recounting the
please?
history.
I'm just checking on Twitter. I mean, a lot of people are talking about Japanese cuts, French music.
Madeleine, what do you think? Have you? do you
Are
think
they
this is
liking it or
strong?
Yeah, no,
fashion.
everyone's liking it. Everyone.
Yes, I
What
think.
pieces have you thought have stood out, or
I think that the whole beginning, the black and white, well,
With the
I
short
don't-
skirts.
Yes.
I like the short skirts.
Yes,
as a
beautiful
blue.
shapes,
Yeah.
just instantly likable. Um,
I mean, can
and
you?
then, yeah,
What kind of women do you see wearing this? I mean, do you see it as a successful collection, or?
yes, I would presume
Yeah.
so. Yes, I think it looks very sellable. I mean, again, that's Imran more than me, but
Yeah.
it's
The girls from
Definitely.
fashionista.com are loving the shades. So they love those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
You
the
know,
little daisies
You can
along the
see,
top.
like, for the young
Yeah.
women who can't necessarily buy into the
It's
full
fun.
ready to
Yeah.
wear, those will be like an instantly recognizable
Yes.
signature of the
Yeah.
season.
If there's another show
I
tonight,
love that
somebody will be
dress.
wearing those.
Yeah.
No, definitely. For
Without
the
a
next
doubt.
show, Anna
Yes.
will be in
that
as
dress
well.
is incredible.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
like that.
beautiful.
I think we
Yeah.
all loved that when it came
Yeah.
out, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's-
less strong in a still image, but when you saw it moving,
I think
Just
also
with the
now in the
shoes as well.
photographs we can see, I mean, it's really beautifully chosen colours.
Yeah.
Yes.
The green is an amazing shade of
Marvellous
green.
Yes.
That blue, again, it's not just your ordinary navy, it's something with slightly more purple in it, but it's just,
But also the casting of the models and the fit. I mean, you can see how immaculately every outfit has been fitted. Oh, look, here's the black version. This one's really great.
I love that
Sorry,
proportion.
can I go back?
There is something of the kind of 90s thing in these shapes and that sort of stripped down thing.
And what do you think of Fur for Summer?
I don't think there's anything wrong with black and white for summer. I mean, it's a pretty standard colour combination for summer.
I think maybe that's a little bit less important nowadays with summer and winter.
Yeah.
I mean, with so many collections coming every year, and with so many things, you
Yeah.
kind of buy them online beforehand anyway, almost straight off the show. So you're in a different mood when you shop, and it's...
Not only that, I mean, if you think about India and South America and Australia, in our spring, it's their winter.
Yeah.
And
right?
also, I mean, the
Yeah.
people who would be buying this in India in air-conditioned environments the whole time.
Now. I didn't notice that in the show because the way the light fell, but you can see how she's gone from light to shadow.
I love that. I love that proportion.
That stands out slightly.
That's very 90s.
Yeah,
Biker shorts.
it was an all-in-one.
That's very 90s.
Yeah.
That's very club 90s. Sort of, that's the kind of nonsense that I would
Is
wear.
that
when I was
velvet or is it
No,
fur?
it's rabbit.
That's fur.
It's rabbit, is it?
Yeah.
I bet it's not. I bet it's mink or something.
Probably will be mink,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean,
Do you want me to
sort
go
of
to the
like
close-ups rather than the...
Maybe look at the shoes.
Maybe with the fur.
Here, let's go
These
now.
are all fur. I mean, that was something she started with the pre-collection, that
Let's go and have a look at the...
inset fur thing.
So here are the glasses, and
Yeah.
I mean they are fun. 'Cause
Brian
although-
Boy's going to have a pair of those too.
Instantly,
Yeah.
you bet.
But those flowers are almost motifs from the autumn-winter collection,
Yeah.
kind of taken and sort of focused on in a different way.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's true.
Well, those have turned out really beautifully on
Yeah.
the shoes and the bag.
Look at that
That's
card.
beautiful.
And
But
look
I
at
do
the top
think-
stitching applied
Yeah,
there.
that's lovely.
The
Looks like it
autumn-winter
could almost
collection
be
is
hand
very
finished, that would
difficult
be-
to wear.
Yeah.
I doubt it, but it is
No,
lovely.
but it's beautifully finished.
Very subtle colour.
I mean, I think it's a very,
Come
very...
back a few. It's nice to see that
Which way is
Christopher
that
Kane
way?
was doing the same sort of idea of folding them.
Yeah, the drape.
Yeah.
There.
No, where was it?
Oh, okay. that-
Oh, we've probably lost it.
There you go.
There, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christopher was doing this.
Very
and it's
similar.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
I love Christopher Kane shows.
It was a
That's
fabulous
Brilliant.
so brilliant.
It was a fabulous show. But we
It's
mustn't
so
talk,
brilliant.
mustn't talk like London.
Well, no, you can. You can
No,
talk
but I
about
think
anything.
Christopher's really important with
Yeah.
this.
I like this as
Yeah.
well.
Because I think, this is the one thing about designers. They do acknowledge other designers and
Yeah,
sort
no,
of go,
absolutely, yeah.
It's
you know,
true.
they don't all sort of exist in their ivory towers, and they do look at what each other does, and
Oops,
without
sorry.
copying off it, but just kind of going,
No,
Actually-
being stimulated by
yeah,
it,
I
copying.
appreciate that, and I know
Yeah.
that they're good. I think that, yeah, I think she would recognise something in Christopher Kane.
I love the folds and the way she's cutting here. Oh, look, you can see she's done the obi fold there.
Aligned,
Oh,
yes.
gosh, help. And the red of the lips.
Oh, that's so good, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's so controlled, isn't it? It's so elegant.
It's very precise.
I love that you can see the stitching and the cut of the line.
Yeah.
That, unless my eyes deceive me, is waffia with satin on it.
Mm-hmm.
The shoes are brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is always when I go, no more shoes.
Yeah.
And then I go, oh, but I like them.
So what has been the reaction on the Twitter then, Imran?
Flower power.
Oh, how original. Why didn't we think of that?
Yeah. Flower power.
Well, that's
No, I mean
not fair.
everyone's response. I mean, it seems like the response has been instantly positive.
There we
Maybe
go.
it is a Prada collection that's slightly easier to like straight away
Yeah.
than they have
And
been
typically,
previously.
yeah.
It's I don't feel the twists and turns and the things that you have to process in your mind. Maybe there will be more things that come, but
She
It
knew we
is
were going to
instantly
review it
likeable.
live. So.
Yeah, so she wanted
yeah,
to
all for us.
Make it easy.
And everybody's talking about the shoes. I mean, do you think that those are something that you will sort of identify with this collection? How is it, do you think, that she always gets I found a different set of images to look at? So this is
The
vibes.
little dead flat ones, the little boots, are of course a straightforward redoing of Courage
Yeah.
in the 60s. Exactly the same.
Well, it's that kind of influence of Courage, whatever,
There's a lot of
influence of
Courage in
Margiela,
there.
and then that
The
influence
little
of
skirts and
traditional
everything, yeah.
Japanese thing. I think that kind of, but there's also the idea of the late 60s and the early 70s through the 90s that's kind of coming through with a lot of stuff. So it's maybe an idea of her growing up in the 60s, in the way that she was a certain way, and then her coming to prominence
Ooh,
mainly through the 90s.
Francesca Burns from British Vogue says,
yeah.
Prada mood cycle, not sure I like this is weird, oh god, those shoes, these colors are perfect, this is genius, dying with desire.
That's my friend, Francesca Burns.
She's great.
Yeah, so that's sort of like, oh God, what is this?
Yeah, but that's how Miss Prada likes to make you feel. She likes to sort of confuse and
And the thing is about Fran, she buys a lot of Prada. I mean, it's like, yeah, we have our discussions about Prada, so it's kind of, she's a Prada fan. And you put your money where your mouth is. It's like support your football team, you support a designer. You go
I find that I dress quite emotionally. I dress by designers that I like or support people that I think are brilliant. And I think Prada is always, it's a label that never lets you down. It always has something for however diverse people dress in fashion. I think it always has something from
and
the
it's
most conservative to the most extreme.
And it's quite odd. I mean, that's the thing about it. It is quite odd. I mean, it's like, for me, I'm from Manchester, but it's like the Manchester United of fashion. It's like that odd, this weirdness, but then this bigness and this kind of, and I do think that people should approach fashion like they approach sport. That they, you support certain
teams.
teams.
This is the grandstand discussion of fashion that we are doing here today.
Yeah.
What I think is lovely is she instantly attracts us. There's nothing here that makes you, God, what is that? Who would wear that? You just look at it and you know that these are clothes that most women are going to like.
Well, that's why she's got 250 stores worldwide at the moment.
But I do also think it's maybe because the 90s do come very naturally to her. Because she was so much defined by the 90s, and doing them again is kind of, she can do it with a kind of ease.
Well, her ready-to-wear started when you said 1989.
89,
So that was when it was born.
Yeah, it was really kind of the start of
things. I think that this is much more 60s than 90s.
I think it's more.
But I think there was so much of the 60s in the 90s. That was the thing. I think there was always this kind of view of the 60s and the 90s through the 90s. Oh, look at how shiny and all of this is. But I think that there's almost, I really did think with the pre-collection and the menswear, there was that idea of like, this is a cut-off point, now what do we do next? And I think this is what they wanted to do next. And it feels kind of course there's all that other stuff coming through. It's like,
those are gorgeous too.
They are amazing. Can we get the backs of those?
Please do.
Are they plain or is it wraparound or what?
That's the next feature. That's kind of odd, right?
Are we allowed to have Chanel on the screen?
No, Chanel was sponsored now. Fashion, so don't confuse things.
All right.
But I think we should just do a little. Now, so Colin, just in summary, what do you think we should take away from this Prada show? You think it was a success?
Oh yes, undoubtedly. I think it's lovely.
Madelaine, what message do you think Miss Prada has?
Ooh, I'm not sure she has that much of a message. As we've been saying, she's very instinctive, but I would say she's just produced another very beautiful and smart collection.
Joanne, do you have any final thoughts on this, other than the shoes?
It's that sort of stripping back to go forward, that sort of
that's nice.
take it back,
Imran,
get on with it.
Let me give you the final word.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I have like a genius concluding thought, except to say that when we look back at the collections this season so far from New York and London,
this is already
a standout.
Yeah.
Well, let's give her a round of applause.
Oh, sure.
Let's